The next week at Costa Mesa, I raced, and I think I was in D1 at the time, and I did good. After the races, I'm in the pits cleaning up my stuff and taking it to my van, and this rider who I have 28 mutual friends, so I know that, you know, a lot of you know who he is, and I don't want to say his name because, like, it's embarrassing. And he's a nice guy, I'm sure, and I don't really know him very well still, but it doesn't matter. But after the races, this guy comes up to me kind of crazy, and he like threatens me. He says, "I will beat you up, I'm gonna punch you out." And I'm like, "What's up, dude? You know, like, why you like do this?" And my friend Ernie Rocio, he had this big sling over his chest. He had this big sling over his chest from the injury. He had a broken collarbone. And Ernie like said, like, "F you, dude, like, what are you doing this for?" You know? And then this rider, who a lot of you know, he went up to Ernie, who was handicapped, and he said, "I will beat your, you know, effing face and stuff." And I'm like, whoa, he come up to me and wanted to beat me up, and now he goes to my handicapped partner, Ernie, he wants to beat him up. And this guy's like tall, he's like 6'4", you know, he's a big guy. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, what is this? And then he's ready to beat up this guy who's handicapped with an injury from racing. And then his little brother, Johnny, who happens to be a black belt in karate, he just told this rider, like, "Hey, over here, come here, I want to talk to you." And then this rider goes from me to Ernie to the brother, Johnny, and starts giving him crap, like he's gonna beat him up. And Johnny's a black belt, like I mentioned, and he just went ahead and took about 30 punches on the guy's face in like 2 seconds, knocked him out cold in the pits at Costa Mesa. And I'm like, oh my gosh, wow. So I was shocked. I never said for him to punch anybody, and he knocked his guy out. I'm not gonna mention his name. He knocked him cold out, and I'm like, and you know, of course, a fight, you know, in the pits, everyone looking at you. So everyone, and so we just walked away, you know, like Johnny, Ernie, and I just like, okay, goodbye. We walked away, and I'm like, and everyone's like, oh my gosh. And this guy's like laid out cold on the concrete. He like went down, and I'm like, this guy got what he deserved, you know. The guy's a punk, you know. He's actually, everyone was scared of me. They're like, Brian is badass, you know. And he has friends that are like the mafia, so do not mess with Brian the Bumblebee. And I'm like, okay, don't mess with me. And nobody messed with me. So the next week at Costa Mesa, I raced the D1 again. And I was nervous, like this guy, he like wouldn't go away. He kept like bothering me, and this time he got nailed. This guy got knocked cold. And so I was thinking, oh God, you know. So I saw this guy after the races in the pits at Costa Mesa. If you race at Costa Mesa in the old days, you know there's lots of vans, and, you know, it's a small area, and it's kind of like not very open. And I saw the guy, and he's like, peace, peace, peace. He was like scared. And I'm glad he like backed off, because I didn't want him to hurt no more. I didn't want him hurt at all. Like, I don't like people getting hurt, but the guy like got crazy, and he got his butt reamed for being crazy. And that's kind of the story. We're still not really friends on Facebook, I think, and I don't want to mention his name because he's probably a good guy, you know, like, I don't want to insult the guy, but the guy just got crazy. And, you know, I guess he was always a D3 rider. He never, you know, got to D2. He was just a guy who come from a rich family or whatever, and just never really learned how to ride very well. And I guess he was jealous of me. Like, he was jealous of me. I was poor, you know, like this guy I think was rich. He had a rich papa, and I had a poor family, and I had a heart, you know, like I wanted to race Speedway, and I'm like, I'm gonna do this. And so in life, whatever you do, if you have a heart for something, you will succeed. And I learned that lesson in my racing. I had a heart for racing. I wanted to win. I wanted to be successful. I just wanted to like reach the top of the hill, you know, like race D1, and I wanted to race the big guys. I didn't care if I stayed there forever. I didn't need to ride for 65 years, you know. I didn't need that. I didn't need to be world champion or whatever. I just wanted to get there, and you know, I think I got there, but I just wanted to be a good rider. So that's my story about the fight. It was like crazy, and I never expected it, and you know, it was just something really weird experience. But in life, you never know what's gonna happen. But that was just an experience, and if you see this, if you're the guy that got punched out, I'm sorry, you know, I'm sorry that this happened, and you know, like, I wish it never happened, and I wish you would have like calmed down a little bit too.